All right, so now we're going to enter into how do we find volume? What is volume of our shapes? So volume is the amount a 3D shape can hold. So if we're thinking of a cup, the volume is how much the cup can hold. So that would be like a cylinder. If we're thinking of an ice cream cone, how much can that ice cream cone hold? That is its volume. How much fits inside? So like, I know we're not talking about rectangular prisms, but a box. How much can fit inside the box? That is the volume of the box. When we're working with volume, we're working with units cubed. So we're talking centimeters cubed, inches cubed, feet cubed, meters cubed. Whatever our units, they're cubed. Unlike our surface area, where area was squared, because area is always squared. It's a 2D dimension, whereas volume is a 3D dimension. All right, so finding the volume of a cylinder, we are working with the following. Volume equals pi r squared, that would be our circle, times our height. So the area of the base times the height, that tells us how much it holds. So r is radius, and h is that perpendicular height. All right, so let's get into using it. All right, so on this first one, A, r equals 4, and h equals 6, and so volume will equal pi times 4 squared times 6. So when I work that through, 4 squared is 16, and then 16 times 6 is 96. So right now I'm at 96 pi. Now this says what is the volume of each cylinder in terms of pi. So if I do it in terms of pi, that's my answer. 96 pi centimeters cubed. And I guess just for the sake of it, pi r squared. H was that formula we were using just in case you're like, wait a minute, why are we putting 4 and 6 in the places we're putting them? But final answer, 96 pi centimeters cubed. So if it talks about in terms of pi, it just means simplify all the other numbers, but don't multiply 3.14 into it. Which is why doing what we were doing last section was just a nice little help, because we did it in terms of pi all the way up until the end. Alright, so for this one, our radius is 5. Our height is 5. We are working with volume of a cylinder, so volume equals pi r squared times h. So we've got volume equals pi times 5 squared times 5. So I don't know why I'm putting another v here. That equals pi times 25 times 5. And 25 times 5 is 125 pi. So 125 pi, and then we have centimeters as our unit, cubed. So those are our first two. Again, these are when it says in terms of pi. If it didn't say in terms of pi and it said use 3.14, then you would take that 96 times 3.14 or that 125 times 3.14. This just says in terms of pi, and we leave it at that. All right, next example. Has us doing a little bit more than just finding the volume. For an art project, you plan to pour different colored sand into a vase with a volume of 47.5 inches cubed. You have 3 cylindrical bottles of sand. Do you have enough sand to fill the vase? And explain. All right, so we need to make sure that our vases or our sand will actually fill up the whole vase. And so first, all of these are the same. So I just need to remember I have 3 of them. Our radius is going to be the 2.5 because that's the diameter divided by 2, which is 1.25, and our height is 3.75. So from here we plug in volume equals pi r squared h, so pi times 1.25 squared times 3.75, and then that is going to give us pi times 1.25 squared is 1.5625, and yes, I would keep all your decimals. If you just keep typing into the calculator, then when you do this and you did 1.25 squared, don't clear it, just hit times 3.75 for this next one, and it will keep all your decimals and you don't have to type them all in. It actually saves you time. Don't keep clearing and retyping in numbers. Just hit whatever operation you're needing to do next with that number. Alright, so then we're going to do 1.5625 times 3.75, which is 5.86 pi. And then from here we get approximately 18.4 inches cubed. So that's one of them. We have three of them. So we're going to take 3 times 18.4, which is equal to 55.2. So that's 55.2 inches cubed. Is that enough to fill our vase that has a volume of 47.5 inches? The answer is yes. And it is because, ooh, I very much dislike when I do that. Alright, back into it. Because we have 55.2 cubic inches, which is greater than 47.5 inches cubed. And I missed words as we have that much, which is greater than the 47.5 that was needed. So we have one more example about cylinders, and this is how to find the radius. And I say that right away. A lot of times, go ahead and just go read what the question is. What is the radius of the can? That means R, I don't know, but I most likely know my V and my H. So I know my H is 4.8 because I can't find it if I don't have the other two. New green iced tea, volume of the can will be 15. So volume is 15. So when I do V equals pi R squared H, I'm going to have 15 equals pi R squared times 4.8. I'm going to take 4.8 times pi, so 3.14. So now I have 15 equals 15.07, because 4.8 times pi is 15.07. And then I'm going to divide by 15.07 because I want to get R by itself. Now, don't stop here. 15 divided by 15.07 is approximately 1. I'm pretty sure I rounded to that. 1.00 is what I have written on my paper, equals R squared. Now, just like in Pythagorean theorem, to get rid of the R squared, we're going to square root both sides, and the square root of 1 is 1. So R is approximately 1. So about 1 inch. That is our radius, about 1 inch. And that's how, so we plug in what we know, and then we solved for what we don't know. That's how this lesson works, or how we go about solving for our unknowns. In the next video, we will talk about cones. See you there.